And welcome back to the DJMC Sports Talk. This is episode 4, January 31st. Today's we are going to talk about, we're going to recap some NBA action, talk about the games and spreads for tonight's games, and then we'll move on to the All-Star selections, the starters and reserves, kind of our opinions on that. A couple guys that possibly got snubbed. And then after that, we're going to roll into our picks for the night. Matt will give us a little talk about his college basketball takeaways from the past couple days, and he does have something special for us today as well. We are going to go bring back the MLB. We're going to talk a little bit about the NL West, their floors and ceilings. And then to sign it off, Matt's going to give us some college basketball picks for the night as well. So let's roll back into this NBA recap. So our picks last night, Dawson did not hit, Carson hit, and Jack did hit. I had Houston's money line. Uh, they were up. They were up till about the end of the game. Jaren Jackson hit 2 free throws with 8 seconds. The Grizzlies won 120 to 119. Carson had Minnesota to cover the spread by 5.5, and Anthony Edwards scored 36, and the Timberwolves rolled the Utah Jazz 138 to 113. Jack had Portland at plus 5.5. 48 bench points was the moral of the story. The Blazers dominated the Magic 119 to 90. The other two games that took place were Cleveland at Atlanta. The Cavs were victorious in that one. They won 137 to 115. And the Lakers put on a show in the nation's capital as they beat the Wizards 134 to 96. So today's games, we got the Clippers at the Hornets. Clippers are favored by 14.5. We got the Mavericks at Detroit. The Pistons are favored by 1.5 in that one. Nuggets at Philadelphia. Nuggets are 8.5 favorites in that one. Bulls take the trip up to Canada to play the Raptors. The Raptors are favored by 4.5 in that one. Celtics play New Orleans against the Pelicans, where the Celtics are 10.5 point favorites. The Bucks travel to San Antonio for the last game of their road trip, as they are 3.5 point favorites, and the Warriors will play host of the Phoenix Suns, where the Warriors are favored by 1.5. So we are going to get right into our NBA picks. I'll start us off here first. My NBA pick today, I have the over of 233.5 in the Bucks Spurs game. So the Bucks and the Spurs, two heavily offensive sided teams. They score a lot of points, and the Spurs play legit to zero defense, so I think 233.5 should totally smash in that game. Carson, is there a pick that you like or you see here with this decent slate of NBA games tonight?
My pick of the day is Raptors money line. They're currently at minus 170. They're playing pretty good right now. I mean, there's Scotty Barnes, he's playing good. RJ Barrett's playing good at the moment. So, I mean, they're a hot team, and they're going to go and win tonight. So, that's my pick of the day.
Alrighty, I like that. And Matt, is there a certain NBA pick you see on this slate of games today that you like?
Yeah, give me the Bucks minus 3.5. Now I just want to make sure. Okay, yeah, there's nobody out that's like gonna make a big difference. I guess Bobby Portis isn't playing, but yeah, give me the Bucks minus 2.5. I watched them play the Spurs a couple weeks ago up here at Fiserv, and I think I came to the conclusion walking out of there that Giannis is the quintessential matchup for Wemby in the NBA. Giannis is like just a miniature version of Wemby, but he's a lot stronger, and he put him to work. I mean, Giannis was moving him wherever he wanted him to go. So I'm not really convinced that Wemby is capable of much against the Bucks. I'd love to be proven wrong because I'm one of the biggest Wemby fans out there. I think he's unbelievable, and I'm very excited to watch his career. But from what I saw a couple weeks ago, I think the Bucks are going to win by more than 3.5 tonight in San Antonio.
Yeah, for sure. I do like that pick, and like you said, you're taking them to cover. I'm taking the over in total points there as well. So let's talk a little bit more about the NBA. The All-Star game will be coming up here. All-Star weekend is going to be coming up here soon. We got a couple of dunk contest participants. We're not 100% sure on that pool yet, but what we do know is the starters and reserves. So I'll start it off here with the Western Conference starters. You got Steph Curry. Kevin Durant, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, LeBron James, and Nikola Jokic. You know, those five players, I don't see anything wrong with those five guys being the starters out of the West. Do you guys feel that somebody else was deserving of a starting spot on that, or do you think those are the five dominant guys?
No, for the most part, I believe those are the five that should be starting. I mean, they're the best. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And you agree with that too as well, Matt. We're
Yeah.
going to hit up the reserves here in the Western Conference. We got Anthony Davis. If he's able to play, Anthony Davis is a reserve. Anthony Edwards, James Harden, Jaren Jackson Jr., Alfred Sengun, Jalen Williams, and one of Matt's favorite players, Victor Wembanyama, his first All-Star weekend. Um, do you guys see anybody on the bench that, kind of sticks out to you, or maybe a guy that, should be there or shouldn't be there? Uh, I'll actually start this off, and this actually fires me up a lot. Um, you're not going to see me really get mad and frustrated a lot, but this actually takes a toll on me. How is Domantas Sabonis not an NBA All-Star? This is the second year in a row that he has been ultimately snubbed of an All-Star appearance. This guy averages 21.9 points, so basically 21 points a game, and he has a league-leading 14 and a half rebounds a game. You're talking about a guy that can go out there and give you 20 points, play very great defense, and get a rebound when you need a rebound. He has 6 games, with 20 or more rebounds this season. Not only to go along with that, he also has 2 triple-doubles with 20-plus rebounds this season. Now, it blows my mind. Yes, the Sacramento Kings are a very mediocre team. They are very mediocre. They have a lot of talent on that team, but they haven't really proven to put it out there yet. So, I just don't feel like Domantas Sabonis should not be in the All-Star game. I'm not saying he's a starter, but Domantas Sabonis should be in the All-Star game. Carson, I'm sure, we talked about this earlier this morning too, about Sabonis. Anything you'd like to add on top of that?
Yeah, I was just gonna say I agree with that. The 2 triple doubles with over 20 rebounds. I mean, that's crazy. He's the heart of that Kings defense. He plays the most defense on that team. He's always grabbing rebounds, moving it up the floor, giving it to his guard. So, I mean, he's good. Hopefully he slips in there if AD's not able to go, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, it just really kind of fires me up about that because, the way that guy plays, everything he does, he gets everybody involved. I don't understand it. But, Matt, you got anybody, that you believe got snubbed out of the Western Conference?
Yeah, I mean, I gotta preface this real quick and saying I don't give a shit about the All-Star game. Like they're all a joke, like the Pro Bowl's terrible, the All-Star game's terrible. The MLB All-Star game is really the only one I can get into these days. But so like it's hard for me to even care. But as I was looking at this, yeah, Sabonis is obviously the one that sticks out. Like you said, second year in a row, he's averaging 21 points. He's shooting a career high 48.1% from three, which is just absurd. Like for a guy that size, be knocking down half his triples, and he's not like shooting, like a small sample size. Like he's jacking a lot of threes. So, yeah, and he rebounds like crazy. Yeah, that one's a little puzzling to me, but like I said, it really doesn't matter to me. Kyrie Irving was another one. I know he's missed, I think, 10 games with back issues. So, sometimes you get punished a little bit. That'll definitely work against you if you miss games. But yeah, to be quite honest with you, like the last time I gave a crap about somebody getting snubbed was when Zach LaVine got snubbed like years back. So the All-Star game is about as useful as the fucking Q-tip on my trash can, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I couldn't agree. I couldn't agree more with you. I tune in for the dunk contest, and that's about it. I will say that I did like the new format that they have had over the years. Where they're playing like whoever wins the quarter, and then it's that 24 points to whatever your score is now. It makes the game a little bit more competitive. They're still scoring 180, 200 points a night, which there's just no defense played, but it kind of just picks up the intensity a little bit. All right, moving on from the West, talk a little bit about the East. The Eastern Conference starters are Giannis, no surprises there. Jalen Brunson, Donovan Mitchell, Jason Tatum, and Karl Anthony Towns. Is there anybody on the Eastern Conference starters that kind of pops out to you, or maybe a guy on the bench that should be a starter? Or do you guys mainly agree with the starters on this list?
Stars are fine.
Yeah, same with me. I agree with the starters. Yeah.
Okay. Now to get to the Eastern Conference reserves, we got Cade Cunningham, Jalen Brown, Darius Garland, Tyler Hero, Damian Lillard, Evan Mobley, and Pascal Siakam. The Eastern Conference had the Cleveland Cavaliers. They have the best record in the NBA as of now. They had the most All-Stars with 3, and Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, and Evan Mobley. I feel like, the 3 of those guys have been huge pieces to Cleveland this year. For me, I feel like the reserves are okay. I mean, there's one guy that I think possibly maybe could have made it, but kind of like what Matt mentioned earlier about missing games with Kyrie Irving, that just kind of decreases your value a little bit. I mean, LaMelo Ball won the fan vote in the Eastern Conference for guards. He was the highest for the fan vote, and he somehow doesn't make it. I mean, LaMelo's averaging 28.2 a night with 7.3 assists. However, he did miss 13 games. So, I don't know, maybe they hold that against you. But, I mean, LaMelo Ball, I feel like, you win the fan vote. I don't see how there's a way you don't make the list. This is the first time since the voting changed back in 2016 and 17 that a guy has won the fan vote but hasn't been in the All-Star game. So, I don't know. It's just kind of a little eye-popping to me. I don't know. Is there any other guys from the Eastern Conference that, stuck out to you guys that maybe should have made it or maybe should not have?
Yeah, no, that's crazy that, they moved it to fan voting, but, I mean, when he wins the fan vote and he doesn't make it, that's kind of weird, I would say. I believe Trae Young should have at least been put into a reserve spot. He leads the league in assists per game with 11.4. He averages 20-plus per night. Actually, he would be the first person ever to have these averages and not make the All-Star game, which is kind of berserk to me. I mean, overall, he's just a good example of a team player and makes everyone better around him. So, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, and another thing, too, was, not a lot of people were really high on the Atlanta Hawks this year. The Atlanta Hawks are 22 and 26, with about a couple weeks to play before the All-Star
Yeah.
break. That they're exceeding expectations of what people thought they were going to be, and Oklahoma guy, so I do kind of have a little bit of love for Trae Young, but I do see exactly where you're coming from there. He's a guy that's going to get you 20 plus a night. He's going to dish it off. I think Trae Young also leads the league in potential assists with 24 a game. That means he is giving his teammates 24 shots a game, which is just remarkable. Matt, I know your thoughts on the NBA All-Star game, but you got anything you'd like to add or no?
Has Maxey been said? I truthfully wasn't. Did you guys
No,
talk about Maxey?
Maxey was not. Nope.
Maxey did not.
So that guy, man, he's averaging 27 points a game and 6 assists, almost 2 steals a game. And to be honest with you, the Sixers have been atrocious this year. Now, Paul George has been out, and Joel Embiid, he's been out as well. And who would have seen this coming, right? But the only reason that the Sixers are even in a position to make the play-in, maybe make a surprise run in the playoffs when they're fully healthy is because Tyrese Maxey has been playing unbelievable basketball. The guy's just crazy pure scorer. He's super athletic, super quick, and he puts that team on his back night in, night out. Whether they win or lose, they're on his back and they're in games because of him. So, like I said, I don't know how a guy averaging 27 points doesn't get in, but whatever, right? Whatever. Yep. LaMelo was also bad to me as well. I thought he should have got in, but, I think the thing that gets lost in translation with this, too, is there's a lot of talented guys in the NBA, and I don't know, just the way that, the game's played now, there's a lot more scoring, guys are shooting the ball a lot more. There's less of an emphasis on rebounding and defense, and the fan voting aspect of it too. It's things are going to change, man. It's not going to be the best, how many guys get in, 10 or 13, 12,
13.
It's not going to be the best 13 players from each conference anymore. It just isn't, there's a lot of stuff that plays into it. With load management, some guys just don't play enough. So I don't know. Like I said, it's just kind of an irrelevant to me at this point. But Maxi and Maxi and Ball definitely were two that I just have questions about not getting in.
Yeah, no, I uh, I totally agree there with you on that. You know, like kind of like piggyback, kind of like what you said. You know how the game's changed a lot recently. You know, it's all about scoring, and it's all about the playmaking plays, defense and rebounding has kind of gotten thrown in the shadow. And that could be another reason to leading why Sabonis didn't make it in. That's where Sabonis thrives. He thrives in getting rebounds, getting stops, blocking shots, stealing. That's his game. And that was also the way his dad played as well. So, just to kind of correlate that too, that could be a reason why Sabonis did not make it in. But, well, that kind of wraps up our NBA. Do you guys got anything, that you'd like to add or, talk about regarding the NBA?
I think the All-Star game format will be kind of interesting. Maybe not to everyone, but the new tournament style is first year implementing it, so I mean that might be make it a little bit more interesting because not every All-Star will make it to the end championship, I guess if you want to say so.
Yeah. No, yeah, I totally agree with you on that. Matt?
Not really, no. I've kind of voiced my opinions on the All Star game. I'm a big fan of 3 point dunk contest. Obviously, that's always fun, and I don't know why the most athletic guys and the best dunkers in the league just don't want to be in the dunk contest. Probably an injury risk or something. Like we grew up on Aaron Gordon versus Zach LaVine, like all time dunk contests. Right now we're watching. No disrespect to Montez Buzelis, like love the guy, great player for the Bulls, and like Andre Jackson Jr. But like these are not the guy's finest dunkers. They're just not. And
Mhm.
we got Mac McClung coming up for one game so he can be in the dunk contest. It's like stop it. Like you tell me like Aaron Gordon or Zach LaVine will come out of retirement and put a stop to this crap. Or like
Oh yeah.
hell, I bet Wemby could do something crazy, or like
Yeah.
Paolo. Like there's guys, Jalen Green. Like there's guys out there that
Oh
have
yeah.
to be. They've got to be able to, but probably just not worth the risk. So it is
Yeah,
what it
no.
is.
Yeah, one more thing I did want to add. A couple days ago we mentioned, the whole Lakers thing about, getting a center and, talking about them making a deep playoff push. And, the main course we talked about was Anthony Davis and LeBron staying healthy. Davis went down the other day in Philadelphia with an abdominal strain. And then they had a day off, and then they played Washington last night without Anthony Davis. Jackson Hayes played very well last night. Hachimura put in some good minutes. Vanderbilt looked all right. Um, but playing against Washington, does that give the Lakers the okay? Like, hey, like we do have these guys that are capable of doing these things. Or do you say, man, we might want to go get somebody else if this is serious? The injury to AD is serious because we can't take the play of these guys against Washington when we're gonna have to go through, the West. So, do you guys think JJ Redick is, looking to maybe add another piece now that AD is hurt? Or do you think, he's settled with, Jackson Hayes and Hachimura and Vanderbilt? Carson?
Uh, I think he's definitely. I mean, I would definitely go out and make a move. I mean, they were playing the Wizards, and I mean Jackson Hayes was just running around Jonas Valanciunas. I mean, he's young, but he also hasn't had any time to develop. I mean, the Wizards are not a good team, so I mean, it was nice to see them get a win without Anthony Davis, but I mean, you're still gonna have to have a nice veteran would help around that team at the center.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree more with you on that. Matt, are your thoughts the same as what they were on Monday, or have they switched a little bit now with Anthony Davis, hurt?
No, I mean I think they're gonna be fine. Like I don't know, I like an Andre Drummond type of guy for them, or somebody who's just a veteran big man that just gets in there, rebounds, does their job. I think they'll be okay. I think the outlook stays the same.
I agree. With both of you, they could do either or. It's just a matter of time. The trade deadline is approaching here soon, so we will find that answer out very fast. Well, now we're gonna give the floor to Mr. Baltz. He's gonna talk a little bit of college basketball and give us his little special thing for today. So go ahead, Matt. You got the floor.
All right, so it's been a bit since we talked last night. There was only a couple of games. Thursdays are kind of a dead day in college basketball. However, let's start in Nebraska. So Nebraska takes down Illinois in overtime. I believe the score was, I wrote it down somewhere. I don't know. Nebraska beats Illinois in overtime. 80 to 74. Bryce Williams was terrific in the second half. He had 27 points, second half in overtime. This went to overtime. Thriller and Lincoln, they have been struggling this year. I think they were 2-7 coming into this in Big Ten play. They found a way. They dug deep and they beat a really good Illinois team. Although for me, this story is about Illinois more than it is Nebraska. Illinois is a team. You look up and down that roster, there's at least 3 to 4 NBA players right now on it. And who knows, once some of these guys develop, maybe transfer out, go, get more time somewhere else. No, who knows how many NBA players are really on this team. They're a very talented squad. With that being said, man, they've lost 4 of their last 6 games. Now their big man Ivisic has been out. He has mono, so that's not good. That's going to knock him out for a while. But this team's too talented to be playing like this. They've lost to the bottom 3 teams in the Big Ten. Underwood's a great recruiter, one of the best in the country. But when it comes to the X's and O's and the on-coach, in-game coaching, when teams are making adjustments, it just doesn't seem like they're doing a whole lot. So that's why you've seen them lose the last 4 to 6, and they're sliding, man. A couple weeks ago, this was a team that, walked into Oregon and UCLA and picked up 2 big wins. And, teams are, people are talking about them as a dark horse Final Four team and this and that. Now they're sliding. So this is a team that's got to figure it out. Underwood's got to figure it out. They've got all the talent in the world. They're young. So, it's not to say this kind of stuff wasn't expected from time to time, but it's happening a little too consistently with Illinois, right now. And, people that were talking about them as a Final Four contender now aren't even sure if they're going to make it to the second weekend. So Illinois is in a tough spot. Then we're going to head out to L.A., UCLA, man. Big win over Oregon. They beat them by 26 points behind 21 from Eric Daly Jr. Oregon's lost 2 out of its last 3. Meanwhile, UCLA is on a 5-game win streak, and they were at 11-6. Now they're 16-6. At 11-6, people were starting to wonder if they were a tournament-worthy team. They turned it around. They won 5 in a row. It's a big win over Oregon last night. Mick Cronin has those guys rolling. Whether you like him in press conferences or not, the guy's a great coach. They've got a big one coming up against Michigan State. That'll be later next week. It's going to be a great game. Huge implications for the Big Ten race. So we'll talk about that one down the road because that's about 4 or 5 days away. And then Memphis had a big road win over Tulane. That was one of my picks. Unfortunately, Illinois was my other pick, and they didn't play well. Memphis had a big road win over Tulane. I think it was the first time in 3 years they've beaten Tulane, or at least on the road. So it was a good win for them. They're in the driver's seat for the American. And, that's really all that there was in college basketball last night. Thursday, dead day. Fridays are kind of dead, too. There's not much tonight, even though I will give some picks for the weekend. And I'll also talk about Hurley a little bit when I talk about the weekend as well. So that's really all for what's been happening in college ball. Not a whole lot last night, at least. Big weekend ahead, though.
Correct. Yes, there is. And that was my next question to you. Was with the games coming up tomorrow. There's your Golden Eagles are playing host to the the 2-time champs and UConn. Outside of that game, what other game this weekend are you excited to look at and watch?
What game am I not excited for?
Yeah, that is true. What game would you be second excited to watch, outside of the Marquette UConn game?
I mean, Florida-Tennessee is going to be a heck of a game, man. Florida walking down to Tennessee. I love Florida so much. I got a chance to watch them play in Indy last year. They played they played after Marquette played in the first round of the NCAA tournament, man. Florida's so good. Walter Clayton Jr., huge fan of his. That's going to be a great game. Missouri's playing at Mississippi State. That's going to be a good one. Auburn's going to Ole Miss. That's a tough place to play. Wisconsin going to Northwestern. Those Big Ten games are just weird like that. We're about halfway through the schedule. I mean, Vanderbilt's playing at Oklahoma. I could go on, to be quite honest with you. Georgia at Alabama. Texas Tech at Houston. I could go on. And then who could forget? I didn't even see this one. Duke and North Carolina. Always a great game. I think it's rivalry weekend, obviously. So, yeah, what a weekend for college basketball, man. It never disappoints. I know I just rattled off like 10 games, but it's a great weekend for college basketball. I'm very excited.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, so what I was saying was, I just want to take one step back and kind of talk about Illinois. When you were mentioning them earlier, with their big wins and all that, they played Michigan State well too at Michigan State, and
Hmm.
Jack Achonis, or however you mention it, he was in foul trouble for majority of that game. So, um, well, yeah, I don't really got much more about college basketball. Matt,
Yeah,
I'm sure you kind of
we'll
covered most of that stuff. We'll get back to it too here later.
yeah, we'll hit some picks. It's a big weekend. We'll hit some picks here at the end.
So that'll move us on to our next subject. We'll talk a little bit about Major League Baseball. We're going to move to the NL West today. And um, so looking at the NL West, you got, the mighty good old Los Angeles Dodgers. You got their odds to win the division at minus 380, which is just outrageous. Um, Second, you got the Padres at plus 450, the Diamondbacks at plus 900, Giants at plus 2200, and then you got the Colorado Rockies at plus 25,000. So we'll start it off here at the top. I think everyone's going to agree with this. The Dodgers should single-handedly take this division. It's just simply unfair. The MLB's got to do something about this. We can't just have all this deferred money that the Dodgers are just force feeding guys and giving away. It's going to be great though in 25 years when the Dodgers win maybe 50 games in a season because they can't afford to pick up a guy that plays for the River Bandits on their squad. So my ceiling for the Dodgers is 110 and 52. This team could, just go on an absolute heater. This team is capable of winning 30 in a row. Um, you start off with the pitching staff. You're getting Otani back. You sign Roki Sasaki. You bring in Blake Snell. You get Glass now back. You still got Clayton Kershaw. You got Yamamoto. Bobby Miller's another guy we haven't even talked about. Some of these starting pitchers are going to have to get moved to the bullpen, be long relief guys. It's unbelievable. Their lineup. You got Freddie, Mookie, Will Smith. You just got guys all over the field. Re-signed Teoscar Hernandez. Um, yeah, so my floor for the Dodgers is 90 and 72. I feel like if this team doesn't win at least 90 games, um, LA is not going to be happy. They are not going to be happy. Um, so, Carson, what do you got for the Dodgers?
Yeah, this might be a long shot, but me and Doss were chatting before this, and I'm going to take the Dodgers ceiling at 117 wins this year. This would set the all-time win record, which beats the 1906 Cubs. And, the Dodgers, they're the best roster in baseball. The Dodgers have a lot of key returning players from their World Series run last year, and Otani coming back to join their pitching staff is just unreal. Not only that, they made a splash in the offseason, signing pitchers Roki Sasaki, and the Blake Snell move was insane. And they got gold gloves all over the field. Hitters for days. They're the best team in baseball, so they could
Yeah,
do
and
it. I
I
think if
appreciate you
any
bringing that
team
up.
was to do it, I think they would.
Yeah,
So,
I agree. It is a long shot, but it's a long shot, but it doesn't seem like it is a long shot. And I appreciate you, bringing up the Otani thing because I totally forgot about, him, being able to actually pitch again, which just makes the Dodgers even better. So, Matt, let's hear your thoughts on the Dodgers and what do you got for their ceiling?
I don't have much thoughts. Like how high can a ceiling go, right? Like this is obviously clearly, without a doubt, the most stacked roster probably baseball's ever seen. Just pitching lineup, they're crazy. So, I don't know. I think Carson's correct. Like, the record's definitely in play. I think anything under 90, like you said as well, would be a failure. And obviously there's a lot that goes into this, right? Like injuries and stuff, you never root for that stuff, but they're going to happen. They always do. Last year, the rotation actually did get quite banged up, throughout the year. But they've got endless arms. So, yeah, I don't know. The record's in play. I think like there's no way they'd ever miss the playoff. They're just not. I just don't see it ever. So yeah, they're gonna be best team in baseball, and it's theirs to lose, man. They know it. But as we know, in the playoffs, anything can happen. So
That is 100% correct. Well, I'm going to move on to my second team. I got the San Diego Padres. I got their ceiling at 93 and 69. Um, this is an interesting team because I don't really know what they're trying to do. They let Jerkson Profar walk. I've heard Dylan Cease's name be tossed around in some trade talks recently regarding the Mets and the Cubs. So, it's I don't know. It's a unique team, but anytime you're talking about a team that's got Fernando Tatis and Manny Machado, and what we saw last year in rookie Jackson Merrill was just it was outstanding. So I'm still pretty high on the Padres, but I really don't know what they're trying to do over there in San Diego. I know they in the last couple of years they have been absolute buyers going out and getting big time names, dumped a ton of prospects and trades. So. I don't know where the Padres are directly going, but like I said, anytime you're talking about Fernando Tatis and Machado, um, and Jackson Merrill had a great year. Those three guys, they're gonna have to carry the load a little bit for that team. Pitching's all right. Bullpen's phenomenal. So I got their ceiling at 93 and 69, and their floor is 85 and 77. Carson, your thoughts on the Padres?
For the Padres, I have their ceiling at 98 and 64. Really, as long as Tatis stays healthy. I mean, they have a good roster. Like you said, Jackson Morrell adds great talent. Manny Machado, I mean, as long as their roster stays healthy and their starting pitching just rolls around, I mean, who knows? It could be a good year in the NL West for the Padres when it's all said and done. So.
Totally on back with you there, Carson. Matt, your thoughts on the Padres and your ceiling for them?
Padres are interesting. I just saw, I believe, that Michael King's getting shopped. That's an interesting one for me. Got a solid rotation. They got arms. Yeah, like you said, I don't really know where they're at. It felt like when they traded for Cease and Soto, and they've traded for everybody under the sun, and it like they gave up so much, and like they went all in on like winning then, and they didn't win. So they're kind of in an interesting spot. I don't know. I think 90 wins is attainable for them. 90, maybe 95. I'd probably say 90 for me, honestly. It's a solid lineup. It's a good team. I just think they're in an interesting spot. I love Jackson Merrill. He's a stud. That guy's really, really good. Putting on for the 2003 born guys. Yeah, I don't know. I like the Padres, but obviously you're always going to be second fiddle to the Dodgers. So I'd say 92. 92 wins is the ceiling I would put for them.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting year for the Padres, and it could be one of those things where, if their first half of, the season is not great, they could look to, move on from guys as well. Um, the third place, I got the Arizona Diamondbacks. This is going to be a fun team to watch. I'm actually very excited for the Diamondbacks this year. They go out, make a splash, get an ace in Corbin Burns to pair him up with Zach Gallen. That's going to be a nasty 1-2 punch there that Arizona's going to have. I'm really high on Corbin Carroll. I think that guy's a stud. A young team, and being young could also correlate to not having enough experience and really not playing well. But I like the Diamondbacks. I think they're going to have a solid year this year. I really like the hiring of, um, or not the hiring, the signing of Corbin Burns, of course. So I have their ceiling at 90 and 72. But also, like I mentioned, it is a young team, so they could kind of falter a little bit. And I don't see this team being under 500, so I have them at 81 and 81 as their floor. Carson, your thoughts on the Diamondbacks?
Unlike you, Doss, I have the ceiling for the Diamondbacks 85 and 77. I'm not really as high on the Diamondbacks. They have a young roster. On offense, they have some nice, consistent bats. However, I do like the signing of the Corbin Burns, and overall, I don't think they really have a strong chance of making a splash in the NL West with the two teams above them. So,
That's a very good point there, Carson. Matt, you got anything for the Diamondbacks and their ceiling?
I think they have 95 win potential. I don't know. I'm really high on them, man. I think that their World Series run showed a lot of what that team's capable of. Um, now did they play to that last year? No, absolutely not. But I don't know. You keep this team healthy. Obviously, going out and getting Burns, man. That's a front end starter. Him, Gallen, Kelly, Montgomery. They've got some nasty pitchers. So I think they've got 95 win potential, and I think they could you know, be second in the division for sure. I like the D-backs, and I think 95 wins is um, ceiling for them. It's not
Yeah,
crazy.
no, no, it's totally not. 95 is not a lot when you're talking about 162. Um, move on to fourth here. I got the San Francisco Giants. I got them at 86 and 76. I'm not really high on the Giants either. They do kind of have a favorable schedule outside of their division, however, so that's why I got them 10 games over 500 and their ceiling. They went out and snagged Willie Adamas. Great piece. Like all that guy does is hit three-run home runs, so he'll be a good ad out there at Oracle Park. But yeah, you lose your ace, you lose your number one. He goes to the Dodgers. They haven't really done much outside of just getting Willie Adamas, so. I'm not really high on the Giants, so I got them at 86 and 76, and I got their floor at 79 and 83. Um, Carson, you got any additional thoughts on the Giants?
Um, no, not really. I have their ceiling at 81. I mean, like you said, they went out and got Willie, but I mean that's a big piece, letting Blake Snell go. It's a big arm. Uh, that'll obviously leave a big hole in their pitching rotation. And I mean, the Dodgers. That's all I gotta say is really.
Yeah, when you play your division, at least 12 times a year, I don't think the Giants match up well against the Diamondbacks, Padres,
No.
or the Dodgers. So I mean,
Yeah,
there's
all of them.
36 games there between the three of them. I could easily see them walking out with, you know, at most maybe 8 or 10 wins. 10 and 26, 8 and 28. So, Matt, you got any additional thoughts on the Giants?
I'd say they're like 75, 80 win potential maybe. I mean, they're a solid team, but yeah, losing Snell hurts. I mean, they picked up Robbie Ray and Verlander. Verlander just the other week, so I mean, he's old obviously, but I don't know. I think he's still pitching at all right level. Yeah, I mean, it's a solid team. They got an okay roster. They're young a little bit. Patrick Bailey's a good player. Wade, Chapman, but yeah, just overall, I mean, I like Willie. Huge Willie Adames fan. I love that signing, but yeah, I just don't know if they have enough to really make a wild card push, and definitely be in that division, like you guys already said. Like that's tough. That's just really tough. Like that's a tough one. So
Yeah,
yeah,
and
we'll see.
I appreciate you bringing up, the signings of, Verlander and Robbie Ray. Like now, if this is 2019, we'd be talking about the Giants, just as much as we probably were talking about the Dodgers. But, two veteran arms, you don't really know what you're going to get out of them. As a Cardinal fan, I got to witness veteran arms all year last year with Lance Lynn, Kyle Gibson. It was Miles Mikolas. It was a dumpster fire for us. So, I don't expect much out of San Francisco this year,
Yeah, it was.
but I do expect them to do more than who I got in last, and that would be the Colorado Rockies. I ain't gonna say much. They're garbage. I got their ceiling at 64-98. I mean, this team is just they're not good. I don't think they're gonna win a lot of games. The second best division in baseball, in my opinion, is the NL West, and it's not looking good for the Rockies. They're full rebuild right now, and right now is probably not the greatest time to be in a rebuild when your division has the players in it that it does. My floor for them, I got them at 60 and 102. It's going to be a rough year. They are not good. So, um, we see that with their odds at plus 25,000 to win the division as well. So, yeah, I don't expect the Rockies to do a lot. I know my guys over at college aren't going to like that because a lot of them are huge Colorado Rocky fans, but you guys are just garbage, and you can't, you guys can have hockey, Major League Baseball is not the thing out there in Colorado. So, Carson, you got anything to add on Colorado?
Yeah, I know you pretty much hit it. I mean, I got their ceiling at 68 and 94. I mean, like you said, they're in a rebuilding stage, and it's not really the time to be doing that in this division. So,
Yep. Matt, you got anything to add about Colorado or?
Yeah, nothing much. They give me White Sox vibes, which when we get to the AL Central, just pray for my blood pressure when we talk about the Sox. But yeah, I mean they're just not like the roster's not good. It's just a tough spot to be in. Like pitchers don't want to go out there because it's a home run derby. Like Nobody wants to go out there and pitch. That's already a disadvantage. Yeah, it's just like a weird like they just they're like one of the few teams like them, the White Sox. Like there's a couple that just feel like what are we doing? Like what's the point of this? You know, like I don't know. It's a weird situation, but yeah, I think 60 wins maybe. Like I don't really know. Who the hell knows with the Rockies? They're just that bad. You got a washed up Chris Bryant. Maybe he goes on some crazy revenge tour. You trade him for a couple things. Nolan Jones is a good player. I'll tell you that much. I'm a big fan of his. But that's about it. So
Yeah,
yeah, third.
they did have a
They're
good
in for a rough
draft.
one.
Yeah, they did have a good draft, with selecting Charlie Condon out of Georgia, and then they got Brody Berk from Iowa. You can say things are going up, but also at the same time, you don't know how those guys are going to perform at the major league level either. So, yeah,
Yeah.
Colorado, I'm sorry. All right, well, we're gonna, get towards the end here. We're gonna listen. Matthew Baltz is gonna have the floor here. He's gonna talk about his college basketball picks tonight, and then tell us his little special thing for today. So, Matt, take it over.
All right. So just before I get to my picks here, I just wanted to point out I'm 5-3 on my picks so far. It's a 60% hit rate. So thank me later, I guess. Look, let's go to Friday. We're gonna start with Friday, okay? I have one tonight. It's not a very great night in college basketball. Probably because it's like the Last Supper, like Indiana Purdue. Who cares? Good game for Indiana, but nobody else outside the state gives a crap about that matchup. Indiana, 11.5 point dogs in this game. Man, have they had a bad year? Mike Woodson, 2 feet out the door. That guy's done. 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 He's gone after the season. You got Luke Goody out on Twitter bitching at fans. It's an ugly, ugly scene in Bloomington. The Hoosiers are cooked. This team wiped their blue blood status. They're bad. Give me Purdue by 11.5 all day. I mean, Indiana's garbage. Like, I'm sorry. It's bad. They're a team. Every year we talk about, Woodson brought on all these transfers, man. The recruiting, like they're finally going to pull it around. Omar Ballo, here comes the savior, 7 feet tall to Arizona. Nope. Indiana, not good. Give me Purdue by 11.5. That's tonight. Then what you're going to do, you're going to take that money that you win from betting Purdue spread 11.5, and you're going to put it on a 3-leg parlay, or you can bet it all separately. That's probably what I do. So for Saturday, because I don't think I'm going to be able to hop on this Saturday, it's National Marquette Day. Place is going nuts. We're going to start with Ole Miss at 1 o'clock. No, we'll start with Tennessee at 1 o'clock. Give me their money line against Florida. I just got done saying how much I like Florida, Walter Clayton Jr., what a team they are. Tennessee just suffered a very, very tough loss earlier this week to Kentucky in their home building. Teams that are as coached well as they are with Rick Barnes at the helm of that thing, they will not typically lose 2 in a row like that, especially at home. I'm taking Tennessee money line. Minus 192 feels like great odds for that. So give me Tennessee money line over Florida. They're going to bounce back in a big way there down in Knoxville. Then at 1 o'clock, once you get done watching Tennessee win you some money, you're going to throw some money on Ole Miss, who's playing Auburn, the number 1 team in the country. Auburn is by far and away the best team in the country. You look at all the metrics, you look at the records, you look at the stats, they are the best. But Ole Miss is an incredibly hard place to play. Their point guard, Sean Padula, is outstanding. They've got athletes all over the floor. That is a very, very good basketball team. It's an upset. It's a heck of an upset pick. Ole Miss is plus 200. Take their money line. It's a heck of an upset pick, but I think Ole Miss gets it done against Auburn. Teams are not perfect, and I think Auburn drops one here. So give me Ole Miss money line plus 200. And then it's 7 o'clock. You've got UConn, the defending back-to-back national champions, walking into Pfizer Forum to take Marquette. Now, I just want to make it clear to everyone on here, I cover Marquette, so I can't officially bet on this stuff. But if I were a betting man and I looked at Cam Jones, David Joplin, Stevie Mitchell, Ben Golden, Chase Ross, and I saw this hobbled UConn team that is washed from what they were last year and the year before that, and I saw Marquette sitting at minus 298 in this game, I'd hammer it. I'd put the whole tuition on it. If this hits, we're going to grad school. The entire family's going to grad school. Marquette is going to blow UConn out of the water. I promise. It's a guarantee game. I'm 1-0 in guarantee games. Notre Dame beat Penn State in the college football playoff. This is my first guarantee game. It happened. This is my second guarantee game of my career. It's National Marquette Day. we're for sure going to set an attendance record in that building. It's bound to happen. Probably about 18,300, 400 people. Place is going to be rocking. Primetime. Gus Johnson on the call. UConn is a little bit hobbled, as I mentioned. Liam McNeely, one of the best freshman players in the country, he's questionable. He hasn't played since early January. I think he hurt his ankle. Obviously, if he plays, it's a lot different of a game. If he doesn't play, I think UConn is absolutely done for. So if he plays, it'll be a little different. But I would pick Marquette in that game, minus 298. Call it bias, call it crazy. What I call it is winning, and it's going to win you a lot of money if you do it. So Marquette money line, Ole Miss money line, Tennessee money line. That's plus 509. 10 wins you 60. So there's the easiest $50 you've ever made in your life. Put it to something nice. Go get your parents something. Go buy the dog some treats. Do whatever you want. Buy a tank of gas. Go get a burger. Do whatever. Free money.
Man, you hit it on the spot there, Matt. Yeah, it's gonna be a good weekend for college basketball this weekend. Looking forward. We got a great slate. Saturdays are college basketball days. So, if you want to, the last thing before we end this off, you can, tell the listeners, kind of like, you mentioned that you do stuff for Marquette. If you kind of want to, inform them a little bit and just kind of tell them what you do and what you did today.
Yeah, so I'm the sports director for the Marquette Wire. I'm obviously pursuing a journalism degree up here in Marquette. Very interested in working in sports media, sports journalism. If it wasn't obvious enough, I've done this before. I know how to talk on camera and try and simplify points and be short. So I cover the men's basketball team up here at Marquette for the Wire, and today we did pregame. I guess it's not really pregame; it kind of is pregame media availability with Dan Hurley, coach of the defending back-to-back national champs. So I just got to chat with him a little bit, ask him about injury availability. They've got some guys banged up, like I mentioned, McNeely. Talked to him a little bit about the sideline antics. I'm sure many people have seen the viral clips of him crashing out on refs and stuff, and he doesn't seem to care what other people say, so that's funny. He also denies any there were reports of UConn reaching out to him and being like, hey, you got to chill out. He says that didn't happen either. What else? He talked about Marquette. He's a big fan of Marquette's program. He likes the way that they do things. Reminds him a lot of the way that UConn runs things. UConn and Marquette have always been very tight and very respectful of each other. Hurley likes the class of Marquette fans. Just chatting the ball, really. Honestly, all it was chatting ball. He loves chatting ball. Great guy. Talked about Cam Jones a little bit. Hurley considers him one of the best guards in America. How could you not? Yeah, just chatting ball with Dan Hurley. We had a media availability with Shaka last night. So I'm very blessed to do what I do at a young age. Obviously, going to have to find a job when I get out of college, but right now I'm soaking it all in. It's a fun gig for sure. I love it. And there's a reason I breathe college basketball the way I do. When you go to a Big East school, that's what you get out for is college basketball. Big East is basketball. So no football at these schools for those who aren't aware. So basketball is what we do up here, and it's a lot of fun, man. It's really, really fun, especially when your team's good.
Yeah, especially no kidding. You cover one of the top 10 teams in the country. I couldn't imagine the amount of fun and the blast you have. You've traveled to NCAA tournament games. You went down to Hilton and watched them play Iowa State earlier in the year. Just getting to see and do all that stuff's got to be a total blast. So people listening, you might say Matt doesn't really seem to know what he's talking about. The guy knows exactly what he's talking about. He experiences it every day. They start early, they end late. He still finds a way to pop in and talk, ball with us, which we much appreciate that a lot. So yeah, you guys, got anything else, we'd like to add here before we head off for the end of the segment?
I think that's good for today.
That's good.
I appreciate the shout out, but I don't want everyone to think I know what I'm talking about too much. If Marquette loses in a guarantee game, I look like an idiot. I'm just out here yapping like everybody else. So just so we're clear.
Yeah.
But I might have a little bit of more college basketball knowledge than a little like the average person, but I'm not some genius. Don't get it twisted, guys.
Yeah, this ain't Jay Billis, but you know,
No.
uh, Matt's a good guy, and we appreciate him stopping by. It's busy up there, everything he does, and all that stuff. So, well, that's gonna end episode 4. I hope you guys enjoyed that. We should be back tomorrow. Depend upon a couple situations if things occur. Not if not tomorrow, we definitely will have one out on Sunday for you guys. So, appreciate everybody listening, and everybody else. Take care and have a great rest of your day. Peace.
Yes, sir.